you know under the name of King Mongkut.
The most sacred image of Thailand, the center of the Grand Palace, the Emerald Buddha. The image is actually made of jade and is about 2,000 years old. It was installed here by Rama I, founder of the Chakri dynasty. This ceremony on the coronation anniversary shows more than any other how the king has made ancient court procedure relate to the pressing current needs of the country. The oath of allegiance to the land, taken in the presence of the Buddha. The men gathered here to take the oath as soldiers. Earlier in the day, they were decorated for bravery against the communist insurgents. Ancient rite is practiced by those at risk from modern danger. This ceremony shows more clearly how the king is indeed the soul of his nation, the center round which army, government and religion cohere. The participants in the ceremony remind us of the danger that threatens this nation and its soul. Buddhist rite though it is, there is also the typical Thai admixture of Hinduism. Here the officials are Brahmins, descendants of Hindu immigrants, whose function in the state is to keep alive the Hindu rituals which originally came from India many centuries ago. Brahmin priests, incidentally, do have to pass a novitiate as Buddhist monks. The state sword is dipped in lustral water. It has now been purified.
สมาชิกรามาธิบดีว่าตามข้าพเจ้าขอกระทำสัตย์ปฏิญาณสาบานตัวต่อประเทศชาติและประชาชนชาวไทย
The oath of allegiance is taken to the land. If at any time I dishonor my pledge, may misfortune fall upon me and plague me forever. An older version of the oath, no longer used, contains a powerful set of possible deaths for those who flout its precepts: lightning and thunderbolts, royal weapons, poison, and the animals of land or water. In the past, incidentally, the king did not take the oath himself. His power was godlike. That he now takes the oath is a bowing to modern notions of kingship. The king's convoy in action. It leaves more or less every day when he's in the regions and covers about 30,000 miles a year. The purpose of these tours is always twofold. On the one hand is the improvement in the people's welfare and the development which the king achieves, and this is certainly significant. On the other hand, there is his presence as king among the villagers. Before his visit, they may feel themselves neglected. In his presence, and after he has gone, they know that they are not. The ladies-in-waiting act as social workers, taking extensive notes on every case so that each one can be followed up afterwards. This means typing up every night, and a lot of work when the court has returned to Bangkok. No previous king had ever even visited the northeast. King Bhumibol spent the first 10 years of his reign traveling very thoroughly through every district of the country so that he could see the problems in detail at first hand. This detailed knowledge now forms a base for rapidly expanding work in all kinds of development. Always the encouragement, listening to their problems, helping them to help themselves.
Did they have any particular problem they wanted you to?
No problem. They were very happy. And I asked in what temple they were going, and they said the name, and I looked in the map. And there's an old temple here. and they did not remember the name.
They seem to be very impressed with your geographical knowledge.
Oh, because they are very happy when somebody comes and knows about their village.
But you go everywhere with this map, I notice. It never, not this particular one, but
Yes,
there
yes,
is never a map from your hand.
I try to have a map so that I know where I'm going. And they are happy when they know that the official map is, the village is on their map.
Are there some occasions when people live in villages that aren't marked on your map or that have the wrong name?
Well, that is what happened now.
What is what happened?
There's a village that has no name, and I put a name on it.
The King and Queen received representatives of friendly countries, both formally and informally, turning state functions into personal affairs whenever possible.
I saw that blue, lovely blue.
A natural part of the royal family's job is to promote the country's crafts, culture and special products, even at parties. The Queen is very much concerned to increase silk production throughout the country. And she makes a point of wearing Thai fabrics herself. This is one of the King's new dams. Irrigation is probably the aspect of development to which he contributes most. Apart from his boat with the rudderless engine, the King has designed dams and irrigation channels himself. With his quick grasp of the subject, he always makes his experts work hard. And though he seems able to master almost anything he puts his hand to, it is probably the many facets of engineering for which he has the most talent.
Oh, yes, yes.
The King carries a two-way radio with him at all times. He is said even to sleep with it. This means that he's the first to hear of any crisis. But he seems oblivious to everything as he concentrates on the job in hand.
And helped by this water.
An army camp. These soldiers have been waiting all day for the King's arrival. That is often the case, but the Thais do not mind waiting. It is still such an honor to see the King.
Could you tell us why you think it's so important to come and inspect a military position like this, please?
They have an important task to do is to keep the area safe, their territory safe, and in fact to help the people, because the people in this area is very, very poor, so poor. This is the place where it is called so-called liberated area, one of the liberated area. It isn't red anymore, but still the fact is the people are very poor still. So the soldier here helps to give them advice on how to grow their crops and how to look after their children. They are loved everywhere, the soldiers, because they don't fight with arms only, because they have been looking after the welfare of the people most. In fact, they have won the heart of the people. I think that is the right way to fight the insurgents.
After the day's visible work and activities are over, the King can spend 4, 5 or even 6 hours alone in his study at night, surrounded by teleprinters, radio sets tuned into police or army frequencies and other communication devices. He debriefs himself on the day and plans tomorrow's trip.
Could you explain what you're doing with his maps, please?
If I see something, you see circles there, places that can be developed, and you can see a place there with a red thing there. It's a kind of for damming and for making a small reservoir. And then when they are the engineers, the irrigation engineer, I can ask them if it is practical to do that. And sometimes they go and inspect the place and can have a a survey on the spot.
Why do you have all these radio sets everywhere, all these receivers, transmitters, telexes? What are they all for?
Well, communication. I think that you should know that radio is for communication. I don't have television here.
I've heard people say that this is your personal intelligence network.
I wouldn't say intelligence, but sometimes it is very, very useful. Sometimes when you know about the news of some disaster hitting somewhere, you can help them very, very quickly. And that speed is the most important factor. So that I get the news by the telex or by the radio. Most of what you hear here doesn't concern me. It's sometimes there is a murder somewhere. Sometimes I can have some news of they have caught a caravan of heroin or something like that. It is better than to listen to the broadcast or other things.
When you sit here by yourself for several hours every evening, looking at your maps and listening to the radios, is that because you are a lonely man, or because you need to have some time by yourself after all the public side of your life outside?
That is a question that can be answered in many ways. I'm not lonely, and I have work to do, so I have to do the work. The way of doing work is to have some concentration, that is, some peace, and then one can think more clearly. It is a way of preparing myself to be able to do whatever circumstances will have me to do. I gather information by listening. I gather information by looking at the maps, or at reading, or thinking. And then when time comes, I have the material in my head.
Standing under the portraits of her predecessors, whom protocol did not allow to work as she does, Her Majesty was presented with the Ceres Medal of the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations.
My husband and I are not content with only visiting or doing the conventional things. We must try to do something better than that. We must try to help the government to promote the welfare of the people, because we are underdeveloped country. So the task of mere visiting the people as a conventional duty of head of state is nonsense. If we cannot participate in helping alleviate the misery of the people, then we consider it a failure to be a head of state.
The royal family use helicopters to visit the more isolated parts of Thailand. Frequently on such visits, they perform life-saving service by removing sick people to hospital, or in the case of a border raid such as this, lifting out the dead and wounded. The king's work among the peasants takes him closer and closer to sharp personal danger. One of the king's many hobbies is firearms, and amongst other things, he has designed a gun mounting for helicopters. Is the time coming when he will have to put this knowledge to practical use? More or less every male Thai, kings included, becomes a monk for a short time in early manhood. A standard length of stay is 3 months during the rainy season between June and October, which is a kind of Buddhist Lent. On his entrance into the order, the king spoke to the nation and said, "From the training which I have received, as well as out of my own personal belief,